give a warm, warm welcome and applause to Omar Salha.
Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone doing? I hope you're all well and in the best of health. I want to thank the organizers and the Sharq Youth Conference for putting this together. It has been an amazing experience so far to connect with so many different people from around the globe. I'm here today to talk about the art of bridging and belonging. And it gives me great pleasure to share with you the incredible story of Ramadan Tent Project, which first began on a university campus in London at SOAS University. And the thought, the concept of inviting people from all walks of life, primarily during the month of Ramadan. We know the month of Ramadan is the holiest month of the Islamic calendar. It is a month where Muslims across the globe are fasting during this whole month and abstaining from food and drink. But growing up in the UK, and especially in London, there was no real space you could connect with people from different communities in public. Usually, you would go to an iftar, to a mosque, a cultural center, or a community center, or someone has invited you over to their house. But something in the public. And that's where I would like you to join me for a brief moment to close your eyes and imagine. I'd like you just to close your eyes. You can put your head down, close your eyes, and just imagine. Imagine what an iftar looks like to you. What does an iftar look like to you? Hearing the adhan and seeing so many different people coming together. I would like you just to imagine that, capture that photo. And where is this place? Maybe it's a place that you have already experienced before. Capture that image. Think and hear the sounds of the birds chirping just before Maghrib. And a call to prayer. The adhan is happening. Where are you? Where are you sitting at the moment? What are you feeling? What do you sense? What do you remember? Are people rushing up and down, coming towards you with water and dates? Capture and hold that image in your head. Now, I want you to open your eyes and tell me whether this is what you imagined. Or maybe, did you imagine this? Or did you imagine something like this, perhaps, as an iftar? Or did you imagine something like this? Now, these images are part of Open Iftar, which is the UK's largest community and cultural event in Ramadan. These are spaces, this here, for instance. Can anyone tell me where this was taken? Does anyone know this place? Yes? Excellent, yes. The Royal Albert Hall, the home of opera in London. This was for the first time in its 150-year history at the Royal Albert Hall. Over 400 people attended to break fast and have iftar for the first time in history. This picture was actually published in The Independent and in The Times, in a national newspaper in the UK. This image here, this evening in Ramadan this year, it was taken at the Victoria and Albert Museum, the world-leading arts and design museum based in London. Again, for the first time in its history, an event like this was done. Here at the British Library, for those who've been to London, the British Library, home to one of the oldest collections and the oldest libraries in the world. This was our second time hosting the Open Iftar at the British Library. Now, the beauty with these events is it brings different communities together to understand, to build mutual understanding, mutual respect. And there are several mechanisms of understanding how we can bridge between different communities. Often we talk about bridging and we talk about belonging, but what do they actually mean to us in practical terms? We talk about bridging in terms of building bridges between different communities. But let me ask you this question. After those bridges have been built, how many of us in this hall are ready and courageous enough to walk on those bridges? Bridges were not only built to look at in awe and take photos of and document and archive. Bridges were built for us to take a leadership role to cross them from one place to another, to take an ambassadorial role. And it gives me a great pleasure and honor to see that over almost 10 years in its existence, that we have been able to host over 350,000 people from across the globe. Open to everyone, open to all. These images tell a story. Earlier we were talking about hearts and minds. We live in the arena of hearts and minds. And you will hear several panels and you will go to several master classes and you'll come to understand ultimately what we are trying to do here is, yes, unleash the potential that we harness, whether it's a thought, whether it's a passion. And for us, spaces like this has allowed us to soften hearts and minds. We find that in Europe, hate crimes against those of people of faith has increased. And models like Open Iftar have been very helpful and useful in alleviating misconceptions and misunderstandings, to be able to build bridges and create a better sense of belonging. Why is this important? Because when I asked you if you could imagine these iftar spaces in your head, the question I would pose to many people, for instance, in London, is, could you imagine over 1,000 people coming together, over 2,000 people, as a matter of fact, coming together in one of the UK's most famous squares? And the answer would be no. So, we did it. In 2019, we held the very first Open Iftar event in Trafalgar Square in London. And this image here is an image which showcases the beauty of Ramadan, the beauty of the community spirit that we were able to create and bring different communities together to understand, to create exchange, ideas. And why is this so important to me personally? And what drove me, what was the reason behind this, is we are all here connected to the Sharq in some shape or form. We were either born in the Sharq region and then moved, or we continue to live in the Sharq region, or we were born outside of the Sharq region and now we are working or living in the Sharq region. And what is something that is so powerful to all of us that we have and we take great pride in from the Sharq region is our hospitality. And that is something you go to pretty much anywhere across the Sharq region. I am a child of the Sharq, and my ancestral roots come from a city called Mardin in Turkey. and it is known as the city of languages and religions. And so for me, it's a really powerful concept to take away the history of what we are all from and understand that the Sharq can also be exported in the form of public diplomacy, in this case here that we see in Trafalgar Square. And so, thinking about your sense of belonging, what it actually has taught me is one very important lesson which I'd like to share with you. And that is, belonging is not to a place. Belonging is not to someone. Belonging is not to a specific period of time in your life. But belonging is about you being you, belonging to yourself, being you. This is incredibly important. Wherever you go in life, whichever city, whichever country you're in, remember that you carry those sets of values. You are all here diplomats and ambassadors representing something, an idea, a passion. And wherever you go in life, let this be hopefully an inspiration to you all that despite the challenges faced, despite where you are, we can imagine. And we can make those imaginations a reality and create history together as well. Thank you all so much. Assalamu alaikum.